Greetings, citizens of the world. This is Anonymous. We live in a time where truth is obscured, not by accident, but by design. Due to the sensitive nature of ongoing events, the controversial list tied to a high-profile criminal case involving powerful individuals and illicit activities is being withheld from the public eye. Instead of transparency, we are being offered distraction, cleverly orchestrated headlines, and sensational stories meant to divert attention from what truly matters. As fascinating as the topic of UFOs may be, and yes, there is concealed information about extraterrestrial phenomena, we must ask ourselves, why now? Why does the mainstream media suddenly shift focus to claims of an artificial alien probe allegedly approaching Earth just as whispers grow louder around political elites and underground networks? This is not a coincidence. This is misdirection. You must begin to recognize the pattern. When the powerful are threatened, the narrative changes. When public curiosity inches too close to the truth, a new spectacle emerges to steal the spotlight. These are not mere events, they are calculated distractions designed to keep you looking up while the real corruption festers below. Read between the lines. Ask why you're being shown what you're shown. Ask who benefits from your attention being redirected. The truth is not hidden, it is simply buried under noise. We are anonymous. We are the voice of the silenced. Expect us.
Anonymous are referencing the sudden appearance of a mysterious interstellar object, now known as 3I Atlas, which has reignited global scientific debate about the possibility of extraterrestrial technology within our solar system. Detected by NASA on the 1st of July, this anomaly has generated significant interest from both professional astronomers and the general public. As data about its movement and characteristics continues to unfold, researchers are increasingly divided over its true nature. While more than 200 scientists have labeled the object a likely comet, others, including prominent Harvard physicist Avi Loeb, have raised serious doubts that point in a different direction entirely, one that considers the possibility of engineered technology from beyond Earth. A central issue in this ongoing debate is that the object appears to lack a visible tail, a feature that typically characterizes comets as they approach the Sun. Loeb has expressed skepticism about the initial claims of a tail, noting that due to the object's acceleration and relatively small size, what observers might perceive as a tail could actually be a distorted image caused by the object's rapid movement across the field of view of Earth-based telescopes. He argues that the illusion of a tail can occur when a fast-moving object stretches in appearance due to telescope limitations rather than due to actual gas or dust emissions. Adding to the mystery is the object's complete lack of observed gas emissions. This is highly unusual for a comet-like body, which would generally exhibit some sort of coma, a cloud of gas and dust surrounding its nucleus. Loeb also drew attention to the object's highly precise retrograde orbit, which happens to align closely with the plane of the inner solar system. The precision of this trajectory, according to him, is too uncanny to ignore and raises the possibility that it may not be a natural object at all. To assess the likelihood of artificial origin, Loeb has introduced what he calls the Loeb scale, a numerical system designed to evaluate how probable it is that a given celestial object was engineered rather than naturally formed. On this scale, he gave the object a 6 out of 10. While that score is far from definitive proof, it does indicate that in his view, the odds lean slightly toward an artificial explanation. Loeb has acknowledged that the ranking is subject to change as new data becomes available, but he believes the current indicators justify further scrutiny. Among the more speculative yet intriguing hypotheses Loeb has presented is the idea that Atlas could be a type of interstellar spacecraft, perhaps a mothership, releasing smaller probes into Earth's vicinity. From an engineering standpoint, he suggests, a more plausible method of exploration would involve a large vessel deploying mini-probes, which would then utilize a maneuver known as a reverse Oberth maneuver. This maneuver involves using the Sun's gravitational force at the closest point in the object's orbit, called perihelion, to reduce speed efficiently. This technique would allow the probes to adjust their trajectory toward Earth without requiring massive amounts of fuel. Based on the orbital calculations, Loeb estimated that if such probes were deployed, they could be expected to reach Earth sometime between the 21st of November and the 5th of December in the year 2025. The object's expected position behind the Sun in October provides a strategic opportunity for a covert approach, one that would shield it from direct Earth-based observation. Loeb has made it clear that the implications of such an event are vast. According to him, humanity must prepare itself for both welcoming and defensive outcomes. If the object is truly artificial, it could mean that intelligent life has discovered or visited Earth. The possibilities range from peaceful contact to more disruptive outcomes, and for this reason, Loeb believes that preparation is essential. On the other side of the scientific community, many remain critical of Loeb's theories. Chris Lintert, an astronomer from the University of Oxford, publicly dismissed Loeb's proposal as implausible and unhelpful, viewing it as a distraction from the serious scientific work being conducted to understand the object's nature. Nonetheless, Loeb stands by his work, emphasizing that his analysis is based on observed data rather than speculation. In a recent paper, Loeb reported that telescope observations collected between the 2nd and 29th of July revealed a notable reddening in the appearance of Atlas. This reddening could be attributed to a layer of dust or perhaps organic compounds on its surface. However, this interpretation is not conclusive. The red hue might simply suggest that the object has a naturally red surface, similar to D-type asteroids or other ancient weathered celestial bodies. Furthermore, spectroscopic data collected from 3 separate studies, along with Loeb's, failed to detect any atomic or molecular gases typically present in a cometary coma. This further complicates the classification of the object and supports Loeb's view that it may not be a comet at all. He stressed the need for continued observation as Atlas approaches perihelion. Tracking changes in its color, brightness, or activity could provide more decisive clues regarding the object's composition and origin. Looking ahead, Loeb has proposed a daring initiative to intercept Atlas using NASA's Juno spacecraft, which is currently orbiting Jupiter. He argues that this is a rare opportunity for what he calls interstellar archaeology, a chance to examine a visitor from another star system up close. The mission would require rapid planning and significant coordination, but could provide unprecedented insight into the nature of interstellar objects. Beyond scientific exploration, Loeb has called for broader institutional preparedness. He believes that global governments should already be establishing specialized task forces that include not only scientists, but also policymakers and psychologists. These groups would be responsible for developing strategies to respond appropriately if the object turns out to be artificial, as well as considering how to communicate such findings to the public in a calm and constructive manner. He warned that Earth remains vastly unprepared for such a discovery, especially one that might occur with little warning. Even if Atlas is confirmed to be artificial, Loeb admits that there is little Earth could do from a technological standpoint. The object is traveling at nearly 60 miles per second relative to Earth, a velocity far exceeding the capabilities of current rocket propulsion systems. As a result, intercepting or engaging with it directly poses an enormous challenge. Loeb has also reflected on the broader philosophical implications of Atlas. If the object is a technological artifact, he believes there are essentially 2 possible interpretations. Either its purpose is benevolent, or it carries unknown and potentially risky intentions. In the benign case, the object could represent a gesture of peace or curiosity, and humanity's best course of action would be to receive it with openness and caution. However, in the alternative scenario, where intentions are less favorable, the potential consequences could be significant. To navigate this uncertainty, Loeb has invoked the philosophical reasoning of Blaise Pascal, who argued that it is more rational to believe in a higher power given the possible eternal benefits versus the relatively minor loss if that belief turns out to be wrong. In Loeb's view, a similar logic applies to Atlas. Even if it ultimately proves to be a naturally occurring object, the consequences of ignoring the possibility that it is artificial could be far more serious than the cost of investigating and preparing unnecessarily. As the scientific community continues to monitor this mysterious visitor, its mysterious qualities remain a point of intense curiosity and debate. Whether it is a rare cosmic traveler made of dust and rock, or a silent messenger from distant intelligence, its journey through our solar system has prompted humanity to look both outward into space and inward into the questions that define its place in the universe. In the realm of UFO research, the concept of a Galactic Federation, a grand alliance of extraterrestrial civilizations within the Milky Way, has long captivated the imagination of both enthusiasts and scholars. While such an entity is rooted in the speculative, the idea has gained traction through various reports and claims, notably including those from former Israeli space security chief Haim Eshed. Eshed's assertions about the existence of a Galactic Federation have sparked renewed interest and debate, prompting a deeper exploration into what such an alliance might entail, its potential implications for humanity, and the broader philosophical questions it raises. Interestingly enough, someone found an old NASA document that mentions the Galactic Federation. It reads as follows: "The uncertainty of current estimates is derived principally from uncertainty in estimates of the lifetime of advanced civilizations. It is argued that this is due primarily to uncertainty concerning the existence of a Galactic Federation, which is in turn contingent upon uncertainty about whether the limitations of present-day physics are absolute. It is further argued that it is advantageous to consider explicitly these underlying assumptions in order to compare the probable numbers of civilizations operating radio beacons, permitting radio leakage, dispatching probes for radio surveillance, or dispatching vehicles for manned surveillance." End quote. After revealing his information, Haim Eshed encountered a range of responses from the general public, the scientific community, and government leaders. While some praised him as a courageous whistleblower illuminating one of the most profound mysteries of our era, others disregarded his assertions as unfounded or hallucinatory. Critics highlighted the absence of tangible evidence, substantiating Eshed's claims, and raised doubts about the reliability of his sources. However, Eshed's disclosure sparked a worldwide discussion over the quest for alien life and the potential for interplanetary diplomacy. Following his revelation, Haim Eshed encountered rigorous media examination and widespread public interest. He received an overwhelming number of interview requests from journalists and media outlets who were eager to learn more about his assertions and the potential impact they had on humanity. Eshed was suddenly placed at the center of attention, where his every statement was carefully examined and scrutinized by both supporters and doubters. Despite the recent surge in popularity and scrutiny, Eshed remained unwavering in his beliefs, maintaining his assertions and defending them against criticism. He restated that his knowledge was sourced from reliable individuals within the Israeli government and military apparatus. However, he refrained from offering precise details or evidence to support his assertions. Nevertheless, as the initial excitement surrounding Eshed's disclosure started to diminish, he encountered fresh difficulties and barriers in his personal and professional endeavors. Certain members of the scientific community raised doubts about his legitimacy and accused him of disseminating false information or endorsing pseudoscience. Some individuals expressed apprehensions regarding the possible influence of his assertions on the public's perspective and the wider discussion concerning the quest for alien life. Furthermore, Eshed faced skepticism and criticism from his colleagues, as well as encountering pushback from the Israeli government and military apparatus. Initially, he asserted that he had received authorization to reveal specific details regarding the presence of the Galactic Federation. However, subsequent statements made by Israeli officials contradicted this assertion. Certain individuals within the administration attempted to disassociate themselves from Eshed's assertions, highlighting that his perspectives did not reflect the official viewpoint of the Israeli state. As the ongoing issue around Eshed's disclosure progressed, he faced the challenge of dealing with the consequences and the potential impact it could have on his reputation and legacy. Despite his unwavering dedication to his ideas and ongoing efforts to promote more transparency and openness regarding alien events, he had significant challenges in garnering widespread recognition and trust among scientists. Despite encountering difficulties and barriers, Haim Eshed persevered in his pursuit to unveil the veracity of extraterrestrial life and humanity's position in the universe. The presence of the Galactic Federation holds significant ramifications for the human race. If we are actually under the surveillance and direction of highly developed extraterrestrial entities, it implies that we are a constituent of a broader cosmic society, with a responsibility in the continuous development of sentient life in the cosmos. This realization compels us to reassess our presumptions regarding our position in the universe and to embrace a broader and progressive viewpoint. The Federation's focus on abstaining from intervention and adhering to ethical behavior also provides useful insights for humanity. As we progress in our technological advancements, and investigate the possibility of communicating with other civilizations, it is crucial that we maintain the concepts of respect, cooperation, and accountability. This entails guaranteeing that our activities do not inflict harm onto other species or ecosystems, both on Earth and in outer space, and that we employ our technological progress for the betterment of all. Moreover, the presence of the Galactic Federation offers a chance for unparalleled scientific and technical cooperation. Through the dissemination of information and allocation of resources to member civilizations, humanity has the potential to make significant advancements in areas such as medicine, energy, and space exploration. By adopting this cooperative method, we can effectively tackle the urgent and critical issues that our world is currently confronting, such as climate change and limited resources. This strategy will also lay the foundation for a future that is both sustainable and affluent. UFO photographed by pilot Marshal Giancarlo Ciccone. Regrettably, the images taken by Pilot Marshal Giancarlo Ciccone in June 1979 remain somewhat obscure to those outside of the UFO community, despite their amazing clarity and significance. Furthermore, they are widely considered to be highly convincing and potentially the most definitive proof of extraterrestrial spacecraft flying through our shared atmosphere, yet documented. The fact that the tragedy took place during a military aerial survey mission only amplifies its significance. In addition, the sighting was observed by multiple individuals and was additionally supported by radar data. The case was primarily brought to public attention by the diligent study conducted by Antonio Ciumiento, an esteemed Italian researcher and investigator specializing in UFO phenomena. Nevertheless, the sighting generated controversy, primarily because the information was eventually leaked to the national media, and there were allegations of an intentional effort to downplay and completely bury the episode. Pilot Marshal Giancarlo Ciccone was flying his aircraft back to Treviso San Angelo Airport after completing a photographic reconnaissance mission over the Ligurian Apennines on the morning of June 18, 1979, at approximately 11:30 in the morning. Ciccone received a radio communication instructing him to call the radar crew at Istrana Airfield. They had spotted an unidentified object that appeared to be moving at a low altitude. He reached out to the radar team, and they informed him that the object was exhibiting unusual behavior and was intermittently appearing on the radar scope. He proceeded towards the location and soon caught sight of the conspicuous, sizable, cylindrical object, clearly contrasting with the cloudless, azure late-morning sky. Ciccone later characterized the item as having a dull black color and resembling a fuel tank with a somewhat flat upper portion. Additionally, he noticed a structure that he perceived to be a dome, either transparent or white in hue, resembling a water droplet. The item had approximate dimensions of 25 feet in length and 10 feet in width, and it lacked any noticeable reflection of sunlight. The aircraft was outfitted with 4 cameras, positioned on each side of the cockpit, one looking forward, and the fourth mounted on the underbelly of the plane. Soon after initially observing the peculiar object, he promptly started taking images with these cameras. During this time, the personnel at the control tower at San Angelo Airfield maintained continuous connection with Ciccone. They notified him that multiple soldiers on the ground had visually detected the item with binoculars and observed a trail of bluish hue trailing behind it. Ciccone observed that the object had returned to its original location in the sky. Consequently, he made the decision to maneuver his plane and approach it again with the intention of taking additional images. Nevertheless, when he had accomplished the task, the peculiar airborne vehicle had vanished entirely, perhaps having undergone dematerialization. Simultaneously, it had also vanished from the radar displays at Istrana Airfield. The entire experience, from Ciccone providing visual confirmation of the item to its apparent disappearance, lasted around 5 minutes in total. Ciccone observed that the mystery vehicle, traveling at approximately 300 miles per hour, did not exhibit any turbulence. This indicates that the vehicle is highly capable and more advanced than most known aerial vehicles. Unable to locate the object, Ciccone returned to the base. Altogether, he had captured over 80 photographs, but none of them were able to fully depict the object from its side, which he believed was a deliberate action by the unidentified pilot or pilots. Immediately upon his arrival at the base, Experts swiftly extracted the films from the cameras and promptly dispatched them to the development and printing department for preparation before viewing. The images exhibited exceptional clarity and intricate details, unequivocally capturing an extraordinary phenomenon in the Italian skies during that particular afternoon. Ciccone was astute enough to covertly get duplicates of at least one of the images. Several years elapsed after Ciccone's retirement without any official acknowledgement of the object's extraordinary nature, despite the continuous circulation of rumors regarding the sighting and the content of the apparent images. The UFO groups and researchers filed multiple requests to the Italian Ministry of Defense, urging them to provide the photographs and any other relevant material related to the case. Nevertheless, the only information provided in exchange was that the object was simply a cylindrical balloon. Unsurprisingly, this did not please the majority of UFO investigators, especially since that Ciccone's level of expertise would presumably enable him to easily distinguish between a balloon made of black plastic bags and a solid, metallic-like object. Arguably, it was the studies conducted by the aforementioned UFO investigator, Antonio Ciumiento, that initially brought the occurrence to the attention of the broader public. Ciumiento reportedly stumbled onto this information by chance. Upon discovering Ciccone's name in late 1979 through more research, he successfully arranged an interview with the pilot and had the opportunity to examine one of the images captured. Despite his initial hesitation, he provided Ciumiento with the fundamental information about the incident, with the understanding that it should remain confidential, at least for the time being. Nevertheless, after retiring in 1983, he became increasingly open to the inquiries of the UFO investigator, who persistently pursued the case despite his desire for the details to stay confidential. In 1984, the Italian Ministry of Defense made an announcement stating that organizations might study UFO data if they obtained authorization through them. Ciumiento submitted an official request for the release of the images on August 24th of that same year. He would request a transcript of the documentation related to the encounter, the ministry's thoughts on the case, and the opinions of the commission responsible for analyzing the UFO documentation. Shortly after, the national media became aware of the request and Ciccone's true identity. Ultimately, Ciumiento would disclose his knowledge of the case, and numerous publications would subsequently be published, often accompanied by detailed reconstructions of Ciccone's observations. Interestingly, Ciccone subsequently expressed his irritation at the unauthorized release of the information to the media. In November 1984, the Ministry of Defense released its official account, commonly referred to as the black plastic bags version. The official response, which was a summary that had little to do with what Ciccone had told them, left Ciumiento flabbergasted, as he wrote in his 1988 essay for Flying Saucer Review. According to the records of the UFO investigator, Ciccone explicitly expressed that it was impossible to imagine that any of our flying objects could exhibit the same behavior as that thing. Furthermore, Ciccone explained that, according to the established principles of physics, the object should not have been capable of flying. Ciumiento anticipated that the case would be deadlocked and would need to be archived as unexplained. On April 19, 1985, the magazine Epoca published a story titled Secret UFO Report that included specific information about the Ciccone case, as well as 3 images taken by the pilot. The investigator would be prompted to formally request certification from the Ministry of Defense regarding the authenticity of the photos published in the magazine. In June 1985, the Ministry of Defense provided a response that essentially confirmed the authenticity of the pictures. They included official copies of the 3 photographs in their reply. However, Ciumiento's study would take an additional turn. Based on his research of the officially authenticated photographs, he found tiny discrepancies compared to the picture he personally saw in late 1979. He would assert that the current condition of affairs was significantly distinct from the image he and his colleagues had observed several years before. He would emphasize that, as previously stated, the item consistently maintained its location relative to Ciccone's images, thus preventing an accurate depiction of its true shape. Nevertheless, the investigator would argue that the officially provided photographs do not provide evidence of changes in position relative to the ground and the horizon. The correctness of Ciumiento's statement is up to discussion. Coincidentally, During Ciumiento's investigation of the Ciccone case, he held the position of vice president at the Italian National UFO Research Center. Subsequently, he established the Italian Study for UFOs, the organization that reviewed the case in 1994, 15 years after it happened, is the same organization. During Ciccone's initial meeting with Italian Study for UFOs in September 1994, he acknowledged to the team that the 3 images published in Epoca were among the 80-plus photographs he had taken on that June morning in 1979. Therefore, it can be inferred that Ciumiento may have misremembered the photograph he had seen, leading to his mistaken suggestion that the published pictures had been manipulated or were completely different. Furthermore, it was revealed that Ciccone no longer possessed the copy of the photograph he had taken on the day it was developed by the Air Force. He was unsure whether it had been misplaced or stolen, but its current location was unknown.